So parallel lines are the ones which are in the same direction. Lines which never meet. They are in the same direction. Okay. And for parallel lines, we always have the arrowheads used. There is no assumption about parallel lines. Whenever you talk about parallel lines, they should be having the arrowheads. Without arrows being used, you cannot assume the line should be parallel. There is no assumption in mathematics. So if let's suppose we have two parallel lines and a third line cuts them. So we have two parallel lines and a third line cuts them. And the idea is yes. So when we have two parallel lines and a third line cuts them, the first property about parallel lines is called as the alternate angles. So alternate angles, if let's suppose this is angle A and this is angle B. So for alternate angles, we always look for letter Z. Letter Z, here you can see the letter Z being formed. So whenever we have a letter Z being formed, the alternate angle property says these angles are always equal. So here in case of this figure, angle A is same as angle B. And then we can see another opposite Z existing, which you can see like this. This will also be equal. If this is angle C and this is angle D, so they will also be equal. So these angles are called as the alternate angles. First property to be remembered. Second is interior angles. Here again, there are two lines parallel and a third line cuts them. So you can always see the letter C being formed. This is a letter C. And for letter C, for example, this is A, this is B. So A and B being the interior angle, they would be supplement to each other. Supplement to each other means they would add up to 180 degrees. So that means if you know one of the angles, you can always find the other angle by subtracting from 180. And here we can see the inverted C as well. C in the opposite direction. So this is angle C and this is angle D. So they will also sum up to 180 degrees. Angle C plus angle D is equals to 180. So in interior angles, always remember you look for letter C. Third property to be remembered is called as corresponding angles. Even if you don't uh, understand this property for corresponding angles, it will not be a problem because with the help of interior angles and alternate angles known, you can solve any type of questions based on parallel lines in geometry. But since corresponding angles is also a part of the syllabus, it's better to be known. So for corresponding angles, uh, when two lines are parallel and a third line cuts them, you can see letter F here in case of corresponding angles. Letter F is this. Okay, so letter F can always be seen. And the property about letter F is if we have this angle A and this angle is P. So for the letter F, it's the angles below their parallel sides. So they both would be equal angles. So letter F, the angles would be equal. A and B, in this case, they would be the corresponding angles and they would be equal. And in the same way, you can see the letter F in the opposite direction also. Opposite direction means this is another F being formed in the opposite direction. And here, actually one more thing, it's not necessary these are the angles below the lines. It can be the angles above the line also. For example, if this is angle C and this is angle D, so they will also be equal, angle C and angle D. It's not necessary it's the angle below the line, it can be the angle above the line also. And yes, you can also see the angles A and C are vertically opposite. Why? Because these are the two straight lines intersecting. So in this case, we can also say that A and C are equal. Why? Because they are vertically opposite. So you see, there can be multiple properties applied at the same time in geometry when we are talking about lines. So these are the three main properties to be remembered about the parallel lines. Let's have a look at some related questions about it. So let's talk about this part A first. In case of part A, we can see the letter Z being used. So because of the letter Z being used, we can say that this angle 3x plus 34 should be same as 5x minus 14. Using the property of the alternate angles, we can easily equate the two angles to make up the equation. And then we can simplify it. 3x minus 5x is equal to minus 14 minus 34. 3x minus 5x, that's a minus 2x. And minus 14 minus 34, that's a minus 34, 44, 48. Minus signs gets cancelled. X is equal to 48 upon 2. X is equal to 24. That was about part A. Part B. In case of part B, we can see that a letter C can be formed here. And because of letter C, these are the interior angles, and interior angles, they sum up to 180 degrees. So we can make the equation as 7x minus 12 plus 4x minus 17 is equals to 180. So 7x plus 4x, that's an 11x, minus 12 minus 17, that's a minus 29, is equals to 180. Simplifying it further, 11x is equals to 180 minus 29, and that would give us 180 minus 29. That's 151. And x is equal to 151 upon 11. That's 13.7 degrees. I hope I haven't made any mistakes here. 7x plus 4x, 11x minus 12 minus 17, 29. Yeah, everything looks correct. So yeah, B is 13.7. Talking about part C. The part C here, we cannot see any direct connection between 4x and 5x. But since these are the straight lines intersecting, so we can say that this angle is also 4x because the two lines are intersecting. And after identifying this as 4x, we can see the letter C being formed here in the opposite direction. So now we can make the equation as, sorry,
सर जब -29 दूसरी साइड पे जाएगा तो प्लस नहीं हो जाएगा?
अच्छा हाँ, I knew it, I make some mistake. So 180 plus 29. Guys, 180 plus 29. That would be 209, and 209 divided by 11. That's a 19 degrees. I had a feeling I have made some mistake. Okay, thanks for correcting. Part C. So equation made here is 4x plus 5x is equals to 180. That's 9x is equals to 180, and x is equals to 180 upon 9, which gives us x as 20 degrees. So this is pretty much simple, and part D is almost the same nature as part C. Let's pick up a few more tricky questions about parallel lines. Um, yeah, I found a few good questions about parallel lines. These ones. In case of this question, there are parallel lines, but we cannot see any letter Z or letter C or letter F being applied. So in this case, what we do is we'll we'll make one more parallel line, which is an imaginary line. So that imaginary line will help us in finding the required angles. So talking about part A, and I have to make sure that this new imaginary line is parallel to one of the is parallel to the two existing parallel lines. So I'm making this parallel to the previously existing lines. Why we are doing this? So that we can see some letter X, letter C, letter F being applied. This is why this is important here. Now, we have now two different pairs of parallel lines. And with these two different pairs of parallel lines, we can see some different angles and some different properties to be applied. So what happens is we can see the letter Z being involved here. And because of letter Z, this part will be X. And we can see one more Z involved. This letter Z. And because of this second letter Z, this angle would be 44. See, making imaginary line helped us in making an equation directly. What is the equation? The total angle there, the angle at point E, this has been divided into two different segments. So both these segments, both these angles, they sum up to 83 degrees. So a equation to be made here involving X, it would be X plus 44 is equals to 83. So X in this case is 83 minus 44 and X is equals to 83 minus 44. That's a 39. In the next example, we'll follow the same technique because here again, we can see the lines are parallel. These arrows are an indication about the parallel lines. But here again, we cannot see any letter C, letter F, letter Z being directly applied. So at the turning point, we'll divide this angle X into two parts, making an imaginary line which is parallel to the existing two parallel lines. So eventually what happens is we can have these two separate parts being found. And we can call these as A and B for our convenience. So that means, technically speaking, it would be the A and B summing up to X. If we have to find A first, we can see letter C here. This is the letter C. So A can easily be found with the help of letter C here. And that would be A is equals to 180 minus 123 because these two are interior angles. So A, it would be 180 minus 123, that's 57. In the same way, we can see another pair of parallel lines, which is forming up another letter C. This one. And here we can find angle B. Equation to be made in this case, it would be 180, this B is equals to 180 minus 145 and B we get as 35. Finally, this angle X as a whole, it was a breakup of A and B. So we'll add A and B together to get angle X. So angle X is equals to A plus B. X would be equals to 57 plus 35. X is equals to 57 plus 35, that is 92. So yeah, it's 92. So this was all about the parallel lines.